Hello everyone, welcome back. This is RandoGEEK. Interesting article here, which I'll link for you down below in the description. It is a topic that I've discussed a couple of times on this channel, and I gotta be honest, I agree with the decision that was made here. I feel strongly about this. I've discussed that before in other videos, why I feel strong about it, and I'll recap on that after we cover this. I'm gonna read basically all the key stuff here for you because it's important for you to know, and then we'll just quickly talk about why I agree with this. So the article here, head title, Still Need Your Landline, California Regulators Just Stopped AT&T from Pulling the Plug. All right, so it looks like California's Public Utilities Commission today rejected AT&T's application to stop providing landlines and other services in areas where there is no other option in a 4-0 vote that came after a judge determined the application by AT&T California was fatally flawed. They're saying AT&T is the carrier of last resort for California, an official designation that means it covers most major cities, rural communities, and the land of more than 100 tribal governments. And then there is a link where you can find out if your home is in that area, of course. The commission first labeled AT&T a carrier of last resort nearly 3 decades ago, so that's a big responsibility falling on them. I just want to throw that out there. More than a dozen speakers during the public comment period at the meeting supported keeping AT&T's carrier of last resort designation and landlines. Previously, more than 5,000 public comments were written in response to AT&T's application, and nearly 6,000 people attended 8 public forums, they're saying, that were held earlier this year. Numerous commenters said that due to inconsistent cell phone coverage in their area, their landline is their primary means of communication with family, medical providers, and the outside world in the event of an emergency. Those concerns are particularly important for senior citizens, people with disabilities, and people who say they are sensitive to electromagnetic activity. So AT&T, of course, argued that the people its landlines are now serving in the areas in question can turn to voice over internet service offered by cable providers or to mobile phone service offered by wireless providers like Verizon. So AT&T is basically saying, if we don't have good wireless coverage for you, we'd rather you just go to our competitor because we don't want to keep landline service open for you. So that's pretty funny. There's Steve Hogle here, who a customer, I guess, lives in rural Sonoma County, and told the commission today that the spotty cell phone coverage was a danger to his family during the 2019 Kincaid wildfire. He made a statement here saying that if they didn't have copper landline, they wouldn't have known about the evacuation and the extremely dangerous and serious fire that went throughout most of the property. He says he doesn't want to use voice over internet service because there's no power, there's no internet, and all these things are extreme importance to the safety of this community. So he has some valid points there. It's not that he just doesn't want to use it. He feels it's not going to be reliable enough for him. So I don't know. So yeah, I mean, basically that's it. It just boils down to AT&T having to do the right thing. They're saying that the company end carrier of last resort designation obligations in roughly half of the United States. But those efforts don't always stay within the confines of the law. According to federal prosecutors in 2022, AT&T Illinois agreed to pay a $23 million fine to resolve charges it attempted to influence former Illinois House Speaker Mike Madigan. So they tried to do some dirty work there. So basically my point here is, why do I agree with this? Well, we just read a little bit about why. I did a video a while now, probably last summer, in regards to a senior citizen that lived on a farm. She relocated her home, couple houses down, or whatever you want to call it, like maybe a mile up from the farm. There's no homes there. So just about a mile's worth of land, I guess is how I can explain it to you, up to a new home that was built there for her. AT&T canceled her landline at the old residence. She tried to have it reinstated at the new residence. They wouldn't do it. She claims there's cell phone service, but the nearest tower is miles and miles away, so it's very spotty, almost unusable. She tried to make a call. We saw live on news coverage that it was dropping. So she felt like she's in a very dangerous situation, very mad that AT&T would not reinstate landline service for her. And it's simply just because they don't want to reinstall landline service for anybody. They don't want to offer landline service anymore, which is what we're talking about. Now, if you're in an area with spotty or no cell phone coverage from AT&T, I do feel like you should offer that to your customers. Their option is, which we just read, if you can do either voice over line or you can just leave and go to a competitor. So now, you know, there are some customers that argue about electromagnetic activity. Those customers don't count. We put those people in a little bubble, and we put them in a bottle and we ship them out to sea. Okay. If you're one of those customers that like to complain about those things, but yet you want to complain about having bad service, but then it's on you. I mean, this is 2024. Whether you like it or not, technology is all around us. There's nothing we can do about it. Your computer is not good for you. Your cell phone is not good for you. What are you going to do? You do the best you can. That's it. You can't be afraid of technology. You can't feel like 5G is going to kill you. There's just nothing you can do about it. There's been things going on for years and years and years that we're just all around. So those customers that worry about those things and cause a huge scene about it, we don't listen to them. But the elderly customers that are on the farms that have no means or other way to communicate with the outside world because coverage by their carrier is not very strong, that's their responsibility to offer some kind of means of communication, especially AT&T's been around for the longest time. That is why they're considered the last resort of designation, because they've been around for so long. They have so much reach. Those landlines have been keeping customers in business for decades. And I know it's very expensive for them to operate those copper lines, especially when there's not enough customers using it. But then they need to get out there and try to get wireless service to be offered, to more customers. They need to strengthen the signal out there, build some new towers. And if the city, for some reason, is arguing about the consumers in the area complaining about electromagnetic activity, well, tough luck. Like, something's got to give. It's either that or, then they're not going to have any service. So I agree with the customers here that are, desperately in need to have landlines because they have no other means of options. I do agree with AT&T to some extent that, for the customers that have wireless options, maybe they want to stop offering landline service to those customers. They have the right to end the type of service that they want. I mean, that they have. If they no longer want to offer landline service, that's fine. But when you're trying to end it in areas where all the customer has is that's not a fair way to go about it. And to simply say, well, you can go to our competitors, well, it's just not a good look. I mean, they can do that. Honestly, they can do it all they want. And the customers could go to Verizon or T-Mobile if they're out there. But it's just not really a good look for them. It's not really a great way to, represent your business. But again, it doesn't seem like they really care. I think they feel they'll save a lot more money by those customers leaving than they will with having to operate, and maintain the copper landline service. So interesting stuff here for me, I think. Nonetheless, I was waiting for follow-ups. I was waiting for a result to this argument here because like I said, I did this video months ago, and I haven't, I knew it was in pursuit. I knew it was being investigated, and I knew eventually we would get a final answer. So to see that they got, turned down on that, I think right now it's the right thing. There are, like I said, a lot of customers out there in California can get very rural. It's a very rural area, almost where there's just like nobody around for miles and miles. Your next neighbor in some of those properties is like 2 miles away. And cell phone coverage is not good in those areas from any carrier, okay? Any carrier, let alone One of the biggest carriers is AT&T out there. And even they're not that strong, which is why they still need landline service. So I don't know. I'm all for it in this case until they can improve the service, the wireless service out there. I think they need to stay in business or, whatever. There's got to be some more competition. But either way, what are these customers going to do? Right? They got to have something. You can't just treat them like they don't exist, even though they're on this little private island pretty much all by themselves. It's very easy to miss them, forget that they're there, but they are there and they need to be able to communicate just like everybody else. So interesting for me. As always, thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.